What an exciting year for Samsung. Many people have been waiting for that Uber Android tablet, and boy have they delivered this year. But when we published our video on the Tab S7 Plus, a lot of you had questions on the Tab S7. And you know what? You are quite right. There aren't many reviews out there. There aren't many people showing exactly the capabilities of the Tab S7. So today we are giving you the best of both worlds with the Tab S7 Plus versus the Tab S7 to help you make your mind up when it comes to should I buy the Tab S7 or the Tab S7 Plus.
You know you wanna feel it, you know you wanna see it. Electricity gonna flow.
This is our full comparison of the two devices. Make sure you like and subscribe so that you don't miss the next one.
For the Tab S7 Plus 5G, we have the 256GB storage version here. For the Tab S7 regular version, 128GB storage. When they come out of the box, the operating system is obviously pre-installed. There's 107GB available for the Tab S7 and 226GB for the Tab S7 Plus. As for the unboxing part for the Tab S7 and Tab S7 Plus, there are no surprises. Both come with a pen, the charger, the charging cable, documentation and the SIM card removal tool, and of course the tablet itself. In terms of software, it is exactly the same. You have Android 10 and the One UI 2.5. As for pricing, there's a whole bunch of different options available around the world. The US is different than the UK is different than Australia, and Germany again is different. I paid 1149 for the top version, 681 for the regular version. That leads me to the point there is a gap of 468 euros in between. That is a lot of money if you think about it. It's a Tab S6 Lite and maybe a book cover for that. The Tab S7 and the Tab S7 Plus have a different size. You have the 11-inch for the regular version and then the 12.4-inch for the Plus version. And I'll put them on top of each other just to see what it looks like, to give you a better idea really. But if you are familiar with the Tab S6, then the Tab S7 regular version is pretty much the same size, slightly bigger, but you won't notice that. When it comes to handling both tablets, I didn't feel that much of a difference. The Tab S7 Plus is obviously bigger in your hands, but it feels slimmer, and I'm going to get to this in a second. But I put them on a scale, 560 gram for the Plus version, 500 gram for the regular Tab S7 version. Design wise and everything else, they look pretty similar, but when you look at this here, you can see that the Tab S7 is slightly thicker than the Tab S7 Plus, and that's what I meant when you have it in your hand and you handle it. It does feel slimmer in your hand, and I know it's like minute when you look at the numbers, but you can literally feel it though when you carry it around. And I think Samsung has done it on purpose not to have such a bulky device when you travel. Apart from the additional SIM card slot to the SD card slot, which is by the way expandable to 1 TB, you will see that the power on and off button is different for both devices. The Tab S7 has the fingerprint sensor built in the power on and off button, and the Tab S7 Plus has a regular power on and off button, but the fingerprint sensor is basically put into the display, and in-display fingerprint sensor. Both tablets have USB-C charging, and if you are looking for that headphone jack, well, you won't find it on either of them. The charging is also not fast charging. It is basically the 15-watt charging brick you will get as a standard in your box. As for the missing fast charging, that really doesn't bother me because I've never been in a situation where I needed to fast charge a tablet. It's more likely to have that on a phone when you are on the road, and then you kind of need that fast charging for a phone. But for the tablet, I just plug it in and you can still work. But that's not an issue for me. One thing I wanted to address is the keyboard. The keyboard is an additional option you can have for both tablets. And they cost around 200 for the smaller version, for the regular version Tab S7, to 225 for the Tab S7 Plus. And I think that only the keyboard really makes the Tab S7 complete, or in fact any tablet out there. And this section is probably one of the most important or interesting one for you guys. It was for me for sure. And both tablets are set to 120 Hz refresh rate. It is available for both in full resolution. I've listed some details with regards to the screens. We have an LCD screen for the Tab S7 and Super AMOLED screen for the Tab S7 Plus in different configurations, and it's an interesting choice Samsung is making here. But let's start with some footage, and I'm starting with some 8K footage here. And I want to give you some different angles here also, and this is an 8K footage example here, the Tab 7 Plus on top, the Tab 7 on the bottom, and here you can't really see that much, but as soon as you move into an angle you can see that the Tab 7 is darker, and I have different footage for you guys to really see this. When you move on to 4K footage, I wanted to have some more colorful, vibrant footage to display here and to show you guys. And you can see that you have different angles, and what I can say is that the display is darker in the corners for the Tab S7, although it has 500 nits, so it should be pretty bright. And here you can see that it is really dark in the corners, and it also is a bit more washed out, and the Super AMOLED screen of the Tab S7 Plus is way more vibrant.
And if you really want to show me, then I love to see it. You really want to go, then yeah, I mean it. I think that we both could use
that last section when the guy is juggling with the balls, that was for me the most important one, because you can see how vibrant the Tab S7 Plus really is. We also did some scrolling tests here, and I felt that the Tab S7 is not really keeping up, but I think that is more to a power issue, which I will explain later, but here you can see that in slow motion. So look, I probably have been spoiled by the Tab S7 Plus screen, because that is the first one we unboxed and reviewed. When I unboxed the Tab S7, the regular version, it almost felt like the Tab S6 Lite, and that is not fair. It's absolutely not fair, because it's nothing like this, but somehow it just felt like it. I'm gonna line it up for you right here. The Tab S7 Plus screen comes here, then the Tab S6, then the Tab S7 regular version, then you have a small gap there, and then you have the Tab S6 Lite. So the best way to describe it is probably when you look at the Tab S7 Plus screen, it feels alive.
You ain't been in my zip code in a long time, and your friends said.
I have both S Pens next to each other, and they are exactly the same. We had many comments asking for that. They are exactly the same. However, there is a bit of a writing experience, a difference in writing experience, shall I say, and I'll let Tony take over. She is basically our artist, our local artist.
When it comes to the writing experience on both the devices, they are beautiful devices to work on. However, I did notice a difference when writing on the Tab S7 Plus versus the Tab S7. The Tab S7 Plus is easy peasy lemon squeezy, don't see much latency, etc. The Tab S7 is still a very nice writing experience. However, you do need to press down a little bit harder. There is more effort involved in writing on the Tab S7 than on the Tab S7 Plus, but it is marginal.
The Tab S7 and Tab S7 Plus have the same configuration when it comes to cameras, but I sent Tony out to give you some sample footage, and again we can see some small differences here.
This is a camera and microphone test for the Tab S7. This is a camera and microphone test for the Tab S7 Plus.
In terms of picture quality, I can't see a single difference. The only difference I could hear though was the microphone for the Tab S7 Plus that sounded richer and fuller, and that is very similar to our speaker test for both devices later on.
Daddy, I don't wanna wake you up when you smile in your sleep. I wonder what you're dreaming of. You got
I have some Geekbench 5 results for you guys here. The Tab S7 Plus with 8GB of RAM versus S7 6GB of RAM, and I've been running this 5, 6, 7 times and have taken the average amount here. What I notice is that the single core score is always higher on the Tab S7 Plus, whereby the multi-core score on the Tab S7 is always higher than the Plus version. So I don't know, I couldn't figure this one out yet, but the OpenCL on Vulkan is pretty much in line. One of my favorite tests is the Basemark benchmark test. Basically that will give you an indication of how good your device handles web application, and that is so important these days in the world of cloud. And you can see that the Tab S7 Plus scores higher than the Tab S7. I have a theory on this, because the Tab S7 had a few hiccups along the way when we did our testing, and it shouldn't be like that. As you can see here, both of the Snapdragon 865 Plus installed. The Plus is missing here, but you can see that on the clock speed we can verify this. 3.1 GHz is the one for the 865 Plus. And when it comes to the RAM usage, that was a bit of an interesting part here. You can see that RAM availability for both tablets were really low, and even after I cleaned up there wasn't much RAM available. And when you have less RAM, even here for the Tab S7, then you obviously have less RAM available afterwards. So my theory is that this will really eat into your performance. So let's get into the Microsoft Office performance next. One of our standard tests is basically opening up Microsoft Office applications because they're kind of heavy, they connect to the cloud, to OneDrive and what have you. And we've chosen Word, Excel and PowerPoint, but you couldn't see and tell a difference by just opening up. And then Tony was basically working on PowerPoint and Excel and had no issues with both devices here. Once you are in this productivity mode, you have wireless decks available for the Tab S7 Plus as well as for the Tab S7, and both work really well on it. We tried it out, but we will feature this in our full review for both devices. When it comes to the speaker test, both devices should really sound similar, but we also could hear a difference here. Listen to this.
That's so impressed like it's prom night. And when you live in top shelf, you know you gotta set the bar high. Had the same dreams as we was kids. Big trips, big cars, and even bigger cribs. Never thought that it would happen just the way it did. Fast forward that now, it's just the way we live. That's good food and drinks, my mood makes you think that this life's made for a king.
I really felt that the Tab S7 Plus had more of a richer sound, more bass than the Tab S7, and there is some slight differentiation here already with the speakers for sure. As for battery life, I was actually really surprised because the Tab S7 Plus really takes the lead here. If you look, we put Netflix on for full brightness, it lasted 9 hours and 40 minutes, whereby the Tab S7, the regular version, 7 hours and 50 minutes. So it really depends on your needs, that's why we wanted to do this certain test here. But in terms of battery, yes, the Tab S7 Plus has a bigger battery, but I thought that because it has a bigger screen, it takes more juice up, but it's not like that. Basically, it's better. Our conclusion is pretty straightforward. I really like the Tab S7 Plus. We think this is the tablet to go for. If size doesn't matter to you, money may not be an object, maybe you get a cheaper version somewhere for the Tab S7 Plus. I would not compromise on power, on screen quality for the Tab S7. The Tab S7 is probably still good for many people out there. It really depends what your needs are. Personally, I would go for the Tab S7 Plus, and that is really the Android tablet, the most futuristic Android tablet of the year so far, unless Samsung pulls another stunt out of the hat, which I doubt. But guys, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Let us know in the comments below. Jens here and Tony, of course, from Allspace. Peace out.
You know you wanna feel it. You know you wanna see it. Electricity gonna flow. Let your body